Roll camera.
Camera rolling.
Roll sound.
Okay.
Club Echo, take one.
Hold. Set. Action. Ready, Justin?
It was 2022, and Sergeant Tyler Butterworth of the Virginia National Guard was struggling.
Stand by, everybody.
He was trying to make some videos to get people's attention on Instagram to help with recruiting efforts. But his first few videos were, well...
No, we're gonna keep rolling.
Roll camera.
Rolling.
Roll
The first one I ever did was like a very serious, typical Army recruiter where I tried to look as big as possible in front of the camera and told you in the most monotone, boring way what the benefits are about the Army. And so
I'm gonna mark it.
I did a couple of those, and you know, my mom liked those, and my wife, and they're like, "Oh, you did great, honey." You know, I'm like, "Great."
Rolling.
Roll sound.
30 Alpha, take 3.
Sergeant Butterworth had a great sense of humor and would often crack jokes and play pranks with his fellow soldiers. One day, one of those soldiers referenced a classic scene from the comedy series, Parks and Recreation.
It's a scene where he's in the Andy. Chris Pratt is sitting in Ron Swanson's office, and he pulls the desk drawer out, and it comes out of the desk, and he goes, "This came out."
Roll camera.
So Sergeant Butterworth decided to reenact the scene.
Rolling.
Roll sound.
Zone speeds.
9 Charlie, take 2.
Action.
My ADOS kid, the E4, was stacking MREs, and he pulls one out, and they all fall out. And he goes, "This came out." And then, you know, I come out of the supply room, and it's the part where he's talking about some big burrito. And he's like, "Stop. You had me at meat tornado." It was filmed on a cell phone, no mics, but it was just passing it back and forth unless it was a scene where we're both in it. And then it was probably my $10 Walmart tripod, which I still use. And then I edited it on my phone within the Instagram app. There was no outside stuff.
They had a blast filming it and had to stop numerous times because they were cracking each other up. And what happened after he posted the video to his account?
At that time, I had like 200 followers, and it got like 60,000 views or something. I was like, man, this is really cool. I'm getting all these new followers. I'm getting all this engagement. People are asking questions about the Army and what these boxes are. And that's when I realized, like, man, I need to step my game up. Like, I need to keep doing this and be consistent and learn more about it. And so that's when it really all started for me.
Sergeant Butterworth started doing more reenactments of comedy scenes and then branched out to original videos, many set in Army locations. And it worked. He grew from 200 fans to thousands, and today he has almost 2.5 million followers on Instagram. Yes, 2.5 million. Those people may follow him to laugh at his parodies of social media accounts or funny cooking videos with his children, but they're also exposed to the comedic side of Army life. He's helped make the organization feel more personal and led to countless individuals enlisting and serving their country. In today's episode, our hosts sit down with now Sergeant First Class Tyler Butterworth to discuss where he got his sense of humor and online persona, share some stories of people who have been affected by his videos, and perhaps geek out a little over Will Ferrell movies. I'm Carrie Varohakis, and this is Army Matters. And now I'm hungry for a burrito.
Do you enjoy hearing from your friends or family on your birthday, even if it includes some off-tune singing? Well, AUSA's Army Matters podcast is preparing a special episode in June to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday, and we'd like to hear from you. Please send us an audio clip of you wishing the Army a happy birthday, and we'll include it in an episode next month. It could be a simple, "Happy birthday, Army," with your name and where you're calling from. please leave us a voicemail at 703-236-2914 or email a voice note to podcast@ausa.org. That's 703-236-2914 or podcast@ausa.org.
Actually, you know what? I'm just going to spend $100,000 and I'm just going to give it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stop by Andy's house, pick him up. He's going to be on the back of the truck just handing out bourbon while I drive with a big loudspeaker like Blues Brothers. What? Don't hate us. Don't hate us. We finally found out about it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's go. Let's go, Dan. Come on, I got things to do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Army Matters. I am your co-host, Sergeant of the Army Retired Dan Daly, and I am here with my good friend.
Your best buddy.
Best friend, I guess. My only friend, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lieutenant General Retired Leslie C. Smith. Dan, you're pretty fired up today, man.
I am fired up.
Why are you fired up?
Because our guest today has got me fired up.
What?
He's going to fire you up. He's going to fire our listeners up, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Anyway, before we get to that,
yeah.
you know, we got to ask you some questions, Les.
Okay, go ahead. Just like an NCO to ask the officer questions.
All right. Are you on social media?
I am.
What platforms are you on?
I'm on all of them, but I don't use them all a lot. I use LinkedIn the most.
Yeah.
Some a little bit on Instagram,
yeah.
And not as much on X.
Yeah.
How about you?
I used to be, but then...
Used to be. What happened?
So... When I was the SMA, it got so bad of people creating fake sites and scamming people. We literally had to call Facebook every week, and then Facebook finally asked me to take the Facebook page down, so that way none of them would be real, right? Okay. So it got that bad. And then they put me on romancescammers.com because people were sending these people that ran my fake websites like money and stuff.
So what was happening? They would say, "Please marry me." Send money to the SMA help a soldier.
I got letters in the mail. I got all kinds of stuff. People calling the house saying, you know, I stole $50,000 from them, and you know, of course, I assured them that I wasn't. And then my LinkedIn account actually got hacked.
Ooh,
it got hacked. Right?
How did somebody's LinkedIn account get hacked?
I don't know, but they did it. And LinkedIn confirmed that it was hacked, so we had to shut that down. Okay. And then there were some serious threats that were identified to me by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So we went totally social media black.
So needless to say, you're like Dan who on social media?
Oh, the only thing I'm on is X.
Is
That's
X?
It.
Okay.
X. I got a Twitter handle.
So Dan, why are we talking about social media?
Because today's guest is a social media superstar with over 2 million followers, and he's a huge influencer for the United States Army.
What's his rank?
He is a Sergeant First Class in the National Guard, and he's also a law enforcement official here in the United States, too. He's a twice the citizen soldier.
Roger that.
Yeah. So, Sergeant Butterworth, for our listeners out there, we're going to talk about during the show is you got to check this guy out on social media. I promise you will have a fun time and have a smile on your face after you watch him. But let's bring him on the show. Let's hear him say it himself, Les. What do you think?
I looked at his videos. I even showed some to General Brown today, and we were just cracking up.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Yeah, they are hilarious.
They're hilarious.
He's got such a dry sense of humor, too.
I know. It's a knack for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sergeant First Class Tyler Butterworth, welcome to Army Matters.
Thanks.
That's it? Thank you.
That's it?
Thanks.
Okay, is that all you got, brother? Come on.
What do you want me to say?
There you go. There you go.
That's what I would really say.
Yeah, okay.
Welcome to the podcast.
Forget it.
Like,
No,
hello.
Exactly. Hello, how are you?
The mood was wrecked, Tyler.
Yeah.
Good evening.
You wrecked it, Tyler.
I mean, it's like very formal. Like,
Yeah, I know, but we're not formal.
hi,
Can't
how
tell?
are you?
We're great. All right, we're going to have to break you out of that, brother.
I'm ready.
All right. Before we get into talking about who you are and what you do, right? Mm-hmm. We got a few questions for you. This is how we run the show. We got a few questions to shake things up a little bit, okay? So I think that anyone who watches your videos can see the influence of a guy I'm a big fan of. His name is Will Ferrell. Right?
I've heard of him, yes.
Yeah. Who is one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites all time. So let's start off with something fun. What are your top 3 Will Ferrell lines?
Top 3, did we just become best friends? Step Brothers. Let's see, what else? Anything to deal with the Catalina wine mixer is a really good one too.
The Catalina wine mixer. Yes.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. So my top 3 movies of all time, you used 2 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Step Brothers fan.
Yeah.
I got to go with Talladega Nights.
Ooh,
Ricky
that's
Bobby.
a good one.
Ricky Bobby. Blades of Glory and Old School.
Ooh. Blades of Glory. Ah,
Blades of Glory. Remember,
Interesting.
he's the figure skater?
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Blades of Glory, definitely. I wouldn't put that in my top 3. Number 1 is definitely Step Brothers. I think
Step
that
Brothers.
is like
Yeah.
a masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we just
Such a
become
good
best friends?
We
Butterworth?
did. Yeah.
We did.
I mean, I knew it all along.
So Sean Butterworth, what are some of your other influences?
I mean, pretty much any Will Ferrell film. As far as TV shows, I would say The Office, Parks and Rec. Those have a pretty heavy influence on my kind of style of content and all that. I mean, really, the old like Saturday Night Live back in the day before everything was super political and all that. Just when it was pure comedy, that was my favorite. That was like my real inspiration to get into acting and to do all this kind of stuff. I love everything about it.
Right. What about Bruce Almighty? Have you seen that?
I've seen it. That's actually one of my dad's favorite movies.
Yeah. So your dad, you got some humor from your dad? Is that where it comes from?
My dad is probably the funniest person I know.
Why?
He's 10 times funnier than I am. By
Is
far.
he?
Is he?
Okay.
So who's funnier, Will Ferrell or your dad?
I mean, Will Ferrell. He's a movie star.
Oh, just because he's a movie star doesn't mean he's funny.
No.
Your dad.
No, my dad's pretty funny. My dad has a very dry sense of humor, and it catches you when you least expect it. Maybe that's why he's funny.
Yeah, that's good.
So you said that you grew up doing homework in a submarine.
Yep.
Can you tell us, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I grew up in a military family. My dad was in the Navy. I was born in California when he was stationed there, and then grew up in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. So I remember my dad would pick us up from school, and I was first grade, second grade, and he'd be in his fancy dress white uniform, and he'd pick us up and take us to a battleship, and we'd get to sit in there and color and drink the bug juice and all that kind of stuff. And I remember thinking how cool that was at the time, and it it was just really unique seeing that, and him being gone on deployments, and then him showing up at home in the dress white uniform, standing on the porch, and he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
But,
so that was a literal meaning, man. Wow. So you actually did your homework in a submarine.
Yeah, I probably didn't do as much as I was supposed to, but I did some of it.
Yeah.
So Tyler, did you always know that you would join the military?
I always thought it was an option. I didn't know. I wasn't really dead set on doing it until September 11th. That's when I knew for sure, 100% I was going to do it.
Yeah. So describe that for us. I mean, so you were how old then, and how were you feeling at the time?
I was in middle school. We were watching something on television, and then they did an announcement that the planes hit the towers and everything, and showed that on the TV. We had an early dismissal. I remember feeling like kind of anxious because my dad worked in DC, and he was actually at the Pentagon that day. So got home. He was fine. He made it home and everything. And we watched a little bit on TV. And the thing that I remember most is sitting there in the family room with my brother and sister and mom, and watching it on TV, and my mom turning it off. And then I remember going up to my room and just kind of sitting there at my desk and just thinking. And at that very moment, I knew there was, without a doubt, I was going to join the military. I didn't know what branch at the time, but I knew for sure I was going to do it.
So why did you pick the Army over the Navy? What's going on?
I basically went around to all the different recruiting offices, which is what I told all the kids that I enlisted, is get all the information. And so the question I asked the recruiter is, when can I go overseas? Because at the time, that's what I wanted to do. And the Army National Guard recruiter was the only one that was able to tell me that. Probably shouldn't have, because it's OPSEC, but he told me, and he popped in a couple DVDs to show me different jobs. And he got to the infantry one, and it had some super muscular dude shooting a machine gun, throwing hand grenades. And I'm like, you're telling me I can do that? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Tell us about the first time you ever showed up at your first unit and how it led to you making people laugh.
Okay, so there I was, 18-year-old PV2, Butterworth at the time. Just got back from infantry school. I'm ready to go. I know I'm deploying in 2 weeks. So I got to my unit. I showed up early, had all my stuff. I walk into the drill floor, and there's all kinds of people milling around, getting ready to start drill before first formation. And I'm standing by the door. I don't really know anybody at all. And I see out of the corner of my eye that the first sergeant walks in. And so, doing the right thing, I scream as loud as I could, "At ease!" And everybody did what they're supposed to, and everybody looks at me at the same time. And the first sergeant kind of leaned over and he's like, "Hey, that was good, but just calm down a little bit." Because I was nervous and excited. And
Brand new Private Butterworth.
Newbie.
And so it made everybody came over and was, poking fun at me and laughing about it and everything. And I got it. Like I realized that, maybe we don't need to be 100% screaming all the time, but yeah.
But you learned it. That's what new soldiers bring to units. They bring the standard, right?
It's a good thing. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing.
That's good.
So speaking of teachable moments, what would you say is the biggest mistake you ever made in your Army career, and what'd you learn from it?
Early on, when I was in basic training in infantry school, they have the ranger instructors come around to infantry school, and they ask for volunteers of people that want to go to ranger school. And at that time, I really didn't know anything about ranger school. I didn't know about that opportunity or what that meant, and I didn't raise my hand. And that's probably one of my biggest regrets at that point in my career, not doing that, because I think that any kind of training opportunity that you have early on in your career, especially when you're already in that basic training and AIT mindset, it's absolutely something you can do. And it's something that I employed everybody I enlisted. If they give you an opportunity to go to jump school or air assault or ranger or whatever it is in AIT, you should jump at that opportunity.
So what did you do in your civilian career? Can you share that with us?
I've been a police officer for about 14, 15 years.
Wow.
Good on you, man. Good on you.
So we give an infantryman a weapon he can carry every day.
Every day.
Wow.
Well, that explains the mustache.
Yeah.
That explains the mustache.
Fun fact, I didn't have a mustache until I became a recruiter. When I was a police officer for a little while, I was a detective, and I had a goatee and a full beard. I never really sported a mustache.
Can you talk about how your experience as being an Army soldier helps you being a law enforcement officer?
Yes, I would say the discipline, the attention to detail, timeliness, accountability. As a detective, it's really the attention to detail, and you really can't make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, you have to own up to them.
All right. Now that I know you're a police officer, I got to ask, what kind of prankery goes on inside, the station? Have you ever pulled a prank on like your boss or one of your fellow officers that you can share with us?
Yes, quite often. I had a very serious supervisor in my time as a police officer, and he was a great supervisor, but he wore the same outfit every day. He would wear a pair of khaki pants and a blue Under Armour shirt. So me being the extremely serious police officer I went to Walmart and I purchased the same pair of khaki pants and blue Under Armour shirt. And then I got to his office about 5 minutes prior to him, and I sat at his desk and tried to emulate all of his mannerisms the same way. And he walked in and he was crying. He could not stop laughing for a good 10 minutes. It was well worth it.
And you still made detective.
Still made it. Yep.
Yeah. The reason why I say that is because I spent 30 years in the Army. So I tell this in my leader development things. I had some tough days, especially in Iraq when we lost soldiers, but I never had a bad day. And I never let my soldiers have a bad day. And just because you're in those situations doesn't mean you can't have fun and people around you can't have a good time, because all my soldiers will tell you combat is hard enough. Leaders don't need to make it harder.
Absolutely.
Okay. So for this next question, if one of us received a speeding ticket, is there any way that you could get us out of it?
No.
Dang.
Hold on,
not.
man. You got. Come on now. You got to. Why not?
Why not? Because
Why
I didn't
not?
get that speeding ticket. You got that speeding ticket.
There,
You were
good
speeding in the
answer.
first
Good
place.
answer.
You're supposed to help me out.
No, that's not my job.
That's not your job.
Nope.
As he said it with his mustache
right.
talking.
Join AUSA, the Army's premier professional association and host of the largest land power exposition in the United States. AUSA is open to everyone, including all ranks and components. So whether you have a relationship with the U.S. Army or simply want to honor those who serve, you can learn more online at ausa.org/join.
Have you ever wondered what sentinels at the tomb of the unknown soldier, commanders and soldiers in the old guard, or the President of the United States feels when they stand on the plaza at the tomb of the unknown soldier? On Sunday, May 25th, 2025, you have the unique opportunity to stand on the plaza of the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier Foundation invites you to participate in the Flowers of Remembrance on Sunday, May 25th, 2025, between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. The foundation will provide you a flower and have volunteers who can talk with you while you're in line, providing you information about the tomb and answering your questions. For more information, search online for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier Foundation and click on their events tab.
So E4 at heart, man. Let's go.
Sergeant Piscato.
Yo, bro, what you freaking out about? What you stressing about?
This board, I don't think it's gonna go well.
Bro, you ain't gotta freak out, man. You know what you have to do.
No, I can't do it.
Why not?
Because I'm not an E4 anymore. I can't do it anymore.
Bro, you gotta do it.
Welcome back to Army Matters, everyone. Tyler, I've been watching a number of your videos, and you got to help me out. How do you make those? How did you make that water bottle flip video?
Sergeant Piscato, reporting to the president of the board.
Carry on, Sergeant Piscato.
The water bottle flip.
Like on TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like you're doing. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
It's a real skill.
It's a real skill.
I guess. So before Instagram, TikTok, all these other platforms, there was something called Vine. Vine was another social media platform that was, 5-second clips. There was a viral video of these guys that did the same kind of thing. Like they did the exact same video. And I watched that and I'm like, that's really funny, but how could we apply that to the Army? And so I thought about a promotion board or a board of any kind. It's very formal. You go in and salute the president of the board and all that. And I'm like, sometimes they ask you questions like, what's your greatest skill? Or what's something great that you can do? And so I thought, well, maybe that's a good opportunity to do the water bottle flip. And we basically recreated that old Vine video with one of the specialists that's one of my soldiers. And so he came in and flipped the water bottle in slow motion. And there was a major there that was the president of the board. And we just kind of acted it out in slow motion of us being amazed that this soldier could do the water bottle flip. And it had a lot of fun doing it.
How many takes did it take?
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few.
Probably at least 20 flips before we got the right one. Yeah.
So let me ask you, what goes through Butter's head when you're trying to figure out a concept for videos, and what are you looking for?
There's actually a lot that goes into making a video and making a good video. Anybody can make a video, but it's what separates the good ones from the bad ones, I would say, is the first 3 to 5 seconds of a video. So you want something that like captivates somebody's attention, because nowadays people want the information or the entertainment very quickly.
Stimulus. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think about kind of the objective. If the objective is to recruit, what's something really cool that I can show people, and what's a really interesting and entertaining way that I can show them. And that's kind of how I look at it, and it's not always recruiting. It's also showing like, hey, I'm wearing a uniform, but I can be hip and cool and do these current trends that are appropriate and still, reflect the Army values and all that. But
Make light of it. Yeah.
exactly.
Hey, hold on now. I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at this video that talks about you in chickens and shoes.
Oh yeah.
Where you're screaming. I mean, what is that? What is that?
So
Is that one?
I do. Oh yeah, I know exactly which one. So yeah,
I'm like, what is going on, man?
I tell you what, I'm 37 years old, and a lot of people take themselves very, very, very seriously.
You're right.
Whether it's on the internet or in real life. My kids think I'm hilarious, and so if I can share that with other kids and families and people, and it makes them laugh, then I'm all about it. That's at the end of the day, that's kind of the check for me is if my mother would be proud of me making that video, if it would make my kids laugh, and I'm not being inappropriate or political or any of that kind of stuff. If it fits all those three things, then I post it.
So Tyler, I got to tell you, now that I've met you for the first time, you are just like you are in your videos.
Oh yeah. So in my other job as a police officer, probably a year ago, I got a message that said, hey, I've watched your content for a long time, and I've wanted to build up the courage to message you and everything. But this person, after this big long thing that they said that I actually arrested them for distribution of narcotics probably 4 or 5 years ago. And they said, hey, you treated me with respect. But what I also noticed is your content is exactly like how you were and how funny you were, even when you arrested me. So it's like, yes, it's all in how you talk to people and get through it,
So talk about, why do you think those videos have helped with recruitment? What job are you doing now? Are you a recruiter for the Virginia National Guard?
I'm still a recruiter, but I am the social media NCOIC for the Army National Guard.
All of Army National Guard?
Yes,
or for the state of Virginia?
All Army National Guard.
Really? That's a big job.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like you need to come do this for the Army. What do you think?
I'd love to. Total Army recruiting is definitely something that I could get behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So you mentioned how one of your listeners contacted you. Can you share another story with us about one of your viewers reaching out to you and just tell us what they said?
Yeah, so like you said, I get messages almost daily of people with their support and the effect that it has on them. But there's one that really sticks out to me that about 2 years ago, a lady sent me a message. She basically said that she was in the hospital. She had a type of cancer where she only had a couple months left to live. And she said that her favorite part of her day was watching my videos because it made her feel better and made her kind of take a break from all the seriousness that she was going through. And so in that moment, I realized like, this is much more than just making funny videos. This is having a real impact on people. And that's why I'll never stop doing it.
So what does your wife think about you turning your children into social media celebrities?
So the kids have asked to do a video with me for a very long time before we decided okay, let's do it.
Okay.
The first video we did, it got like 30 million views or something like that. And
what?
Yeah. And so the response has always been like overwhelmingly positive. Like I think I've gotten like one negative comment or interaction within the last 6 months. So as far as the kids go, we're very cautious with what we do and very calculated with what we do, especially when it comes to the kids being in videos and all that kind of thing. But, the kids, they love doing it. They wake up in the morning and they say, Dad, can we be in a video today? And most of the time I tell them, no, we have other stuff to do. You need to learn how to read or whatever it is at the time.
Gotta be a dad.
Yeah, the basics first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's a really unique and modern way that I'm building these memories that I'll have forever of the kids. And even looking back 2 years ago at the kids in family videos and things that we've done, it's like, man, this is incredible that I'm going to have this for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So finally, you live on a farm with your family and you have horses, chickens, and other animals. Which ones do you like more and which ones likes you the most? Your chickens or your horses? Who likes you the better?
Oh, the horses don't like me at all.
The horses don't like you? Why don't the horses like you?
Because I don't like them.
Why you like your horses?
Well, I'm allergic to them. They're just, horses are the most expensive hobby that you could possibly have.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I didn't realize that until I met my wife, who's, at the time she was a semi-pro horseback rider. And I didn't understand what that meant until she's like, oh yeah, we have this and that. And here's a trailer and a truck and all this. I'm like, man. But definitely the chickens.
So Sergeant Butterworth, one more thing before we go. Let's say, for example, 6 or 7 of our listeners out there have been stuck on a deserted island and have never heard of your videos. Where would they find your videos on the internet?
So my username is @ButterworthDaSyrup, D-A Syrup, and I'm on every social media page, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of them.
That's a spinoff of Mrs. Butterworth's pancake syrup, isn't it?
It's my mother, yes.
Yeah, your mother, Mrs. Butterworth. Well, I'll tell you what, a couple things here, but thanks for being a soldier. And thank you, actually, for being a law enforcement official. That's important in our nation. And you are twice the soldier, twice the citizen soldier. And thanks for making people laugh, because I said every minute you're laughing, it's going to add 2 or 3 to your life. That's amazing. It's been great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
For this week's Chapter Spotlight, we'd like to focus on the Fort Leonard Wood Mid-Missouri branch and the latest Vietnam veteran pinning ceremony they recently held. To tell you more about it, here's the chapter president.
My name is Freddie Brock. I live in Waynesville, Missouri, just outside of Fort Leonard Wood. I'm a retired Command Sergeant Major, did 28 years with the MP Corps. I've been the chapter president now for 1 year. Fort Leonard Wood, mid-Missouri. On February 28th, we did a Vietnam commemorative program here in Waynesville at the Parker Education Center. Now, some programs, they have a ceremony and they just issue the pin, but we take it one step further and we actually issued the pin and a certificate recognizing them as a Vietnam-era veteran. The school superintendent, who loves the military, and she sent 3 history classes over to the auditorium. So they were there to witness the ceremony. Our color guard were Cub Scouts. Probably we were from 9 years old to 13, 14 years old Scouts. So it was moving because we call it was a multi-generational ceremony where probably the oldest vet was 85 and the youngest person there was a 7th, 8th grader. On this February 28th, that one was unique because we had a soldier who actually retired first sergeant who served in the I-Train Valley with Colonel Hal Moore. I was a first Cav alumni, so I met Hal Moore before. But to actually find someone who served in the I-Train Valley during that battle was very unique. Since our first ceremony in September 2021, we have honored 810 Vietnam-era veterans. The areas that we've had our ceremonies, civic centers, community centers, people's front living room, car garage, hospital bed. And one that sticks out was from a veteran called and said that he has a veteran friend who's in the hospital and the family just signed the DNR and asked us if we could overnight a certificate and pin because he wanted to honor his Vietnam veteran friend. So we did that, and when this gentleman presented his friend who was suffering from dementia the pin, he told me something must have, connected with this gentleman, but he opened his eyes, and it was just something that more or less says, hey, I know what's going on.
Thanks to Freddie Brock and the entire chapter for everything that they do. If you or your chapter would like to be profiled on the show, please email us at podcast@ausa.org.
To all our listeners, thanks for joining us. Army Matters is brought to you by the Association of the United States Army, the U.S. Army's professional association, member-supported, Army-connected. Visit us at ausa.org for more information or to become a member. Your membership helps AUSA continue to carry out its mission, educate, inform, and connect with the total Army, our industry partners, and supporters of a strong national defense. Today's episode was hosted by Lieutenant General Retired Les Smith and SMA Retired Dan Daly, and anchor hosted by Carrie Barrow-Heckes. Anthony Del Call is the producer and writer, and Andy Bosnack is the supervising sound editor. Ellen Toner is the content editor. Unzinga Curry is the executive producer, and the senior producers are Carrie Barrow-Heckes and LaSharon Duncan. Be sure to subscribe to Army Matters wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave a review. As you know, we love seeing stars in the Army, especially if it comes in the form of a 5-star review. AUSA's Army Matters podcast can also be heard on Wreaths Across America Radio on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, on the iHeart Radio app, the Audacy app, and the TuneIn app with the search of the word Wreath. AUSA's Army Matters podcast primary purpose is to entertain. The podcast does not constitute advice or services. While guests are invited to listen, listeners, please note that you're not being provided professional advice from the podcast or the guest. The views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of AUSA. For questions or to provide topic recommendations, email us at podcast@ausa.org. I'm LaSharon Duncan. Hope you have a great Army day. Hooah!